Hello, I'm once again joined my father for another movie review. Say hi, Dad.
Hi.
In today's video, we're going to be talking about Shaft. Recently, well, a few months ago, Richard Roundtree passed away, even though I'm a little bit behind that. But what the heck, I still want to talk about this movie anyway, Shaft. It's such an amazing, Blaxploitation film. It really, revolutionized Blaxploitation films of the 70s. Wouldn't you agree on that?
Yes. It was really unique because now we had a different cultural look at the action hero.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And like you said, the opening scene, it opens up in, New York City, where he's walking around, Times Square, and like you say, back in the 70s, you remember, Times Square looked like that in the 70s, disgusting filth, and...
Yeah, it was, unfortunately, at that time, and you can see it also in other films like Taxi Driver.
Right.
It was really an area where there were a lot of drugs, and there were a lot of prostitutes, and
right.
It wasn't really a family place like it turned out to be later.
Oh, no, that's for sure, especially how, when Shaft was around, you don't mess with Shaft.
Yeah, that's right.
He's cool, and he's badass. He kicks butt and doesn't take crap from nobody. Especially not even though he has a boss, but even he doesn't trust his boss at times and doesn't want to tell him certain things, that he keeps a secret from him. And yeah. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, yeah, and he has actually a good relationship, with the police.
Yeah.
And that, they even though they don't necessarily like the way he operates.
Right. He does things differently than what the police do.
Right. In fact, he does things the way
off the book.
The way the police can do things.
Right. Exactly.
But he gets the job done.
Yeah. True. In a way, he kind of. Well, even though I don't remember when, but I know around this time, the 70s, I don't know if it was pre or post, Luke Cage, he kind of reminds me of Luke Cage to some degree. I wouldn't be surprised if the guy who created Luke Cage took inspiration from Shaft a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know which came first, but
yeah.
There definitely was a lack of African American representation in comic books, for one.
Yeah.
And also, in cinema.
Right, that's true.
And, there were also more serious films that were being put out that were independent films by African American directors.
Right.
But this was something that was popular and, kids could look up to.
Yeah, definitely. And also... And I feel like Shaft is very a very iconic 70s exploitation character too, because I mentioned this in a past video about I think it might have been my Night of the Living Dead video. I mentioned how before we had African American actors being the lead role and not being they were basically portrayed as stereotypes in early years of cinema at that time, playing butlers or shoe shiners or
maids,
taxi drivers, etc. Yeah, they were portrayed as whereas Shaft broke all those grounds and rules, showing how even an African American can be the hero and and be the star in a movie too. Well, also Sidney Poitier too. Also but he was more of a dramatic actor, whereas Shaft was an action hero.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, Shaft has one of the greatest openings.
Yes. Sir Isaac Hayes.
Sir Isaac Hayes. Yes.
Yes. Before I even saw the film, everyone knows that that song. Even if you never saw the film, you just know that's opening. Oh man, the lyrics escape me, but I just know the chef.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, too bad he's gone, Isaac Hayes. He was a legendary, great, talented singer who did a lot of good songs.
Yes, and writer and arranger.
And he was also on some South Park episode where he's basically spoofing himself.
Right.
And, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. First time I heard that song was in Home for the Holidays, when Robert Downey and his friend are coming to visit for the holidays. They have the Shaft song on. Mm-hmm. Good choice, Robert Downey.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, even though he's got a girlfriend, but yet he gets the ladies too. He's a ladies' man.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was controversial at the time that he has a relationship with a white woman.
Right. Probably, I don't know if that was the first. That could have been an early example of a interracial sex scene in cinema at that time, Pop. But I don't know the answer. What was the first interracial sex scene? Don't ask me that. I don't know. Yeah. I couldn't tell you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, when he's hired by that mafia guy, it kind of reminds me of something out of a 1940s Humphrey Bogart, film noir type of film. Mm-hmm. But the difference that there's no female fatale in this movie. That's the difference.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But when you see the the character, like you see the two bodyguards, I'm thinking this feels like a 1940s film noir vibe to it, but Blaxploitation style.
Right. Yeah, there may have been relationships between Caucasian and African American, but the difference here, one of the interesting differences is that they did make movies like Mandingo, where there was African American having a relationship with the wife of the owner of the plantation.
Yeah,
and,
right.
But in this one, it was like Shaft freely associates with another Caucasian woman, and he's actually the one who rejects her, as opposed to her rejecting him.
Right. But it goes both ways in life, as we learned.
Oh, well, I know it does, but I think this was pretty,
right, but I get it.
Revolutionary for the time, that he was like rejecting her.
Right. Yeah, it's and also I feel like also this time period too, like this was like also you had like Pam Grier too, also who was another big popular. She was the Foxy Brown and the female Marilyn Monroe for African Americans at that time in the 70s in a way.
Yeah, there weren't many female action heroes at all.
Right.
One that comes to mind that was on television was Honey West.
I never heard of that, but go on.
Which was with Anne Francis,
right?
Who was in Forbidden Planet.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
But there was a rarity of female heroes.
Right. Gotcha. And also, he has like a lot of funny like one-liners too at times, like when he's
he does.
Getting the pre-Arnold Schwarzenegger when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like when he's getting a hot dog, and I think he's talking. I don't remember who he's talking to. But he says, "I got laid," rather than telling him what he had to report to his boss. On,
right. Yeah, because he was because the boss was asking him what he was doing.
Right.
We're working.
I don't know. That'd be something he would say to his boss today for a police report.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Shaft is just a fun, like, cool film, and it's also, like I said, very, very iconic, and also very, like, inspirational for, like, pop culture and future films. So, like, I also know there was a remake with Sam Jackson, but I never saw that. Did you ever see it?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I heard it's supposedly pretty good, but again, how can you, like, top, like, what this,
Yeah.
I mean, though, like, Sam Jackson, a good choice for a Shaft, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's hard, whenever you try to remake a classic, it doesn't always work.
Yeah, and also there were two sequels to this, Shaft in Africa, I forget what the third one was called, but those... For those titles sound like they're just like B movies to some degree, where they're not.
I haven't seen either.
I didn't see them either, but I know my friend Bill has seen either both or one of them, and he says the one where he goes to Africa is kind of lame, but kind of funny in a silly way. It's not meant to be taken seriously, and
yeah, that's kind of like some of the Bond movies are like that. They're really. Especially with Roger Moore, they're really tongue-in-cheek.
Right.
They're not really meant to be taken seriously.
I've actually never seen any of Roger Moore's James Bond films. Also, then I told you this when we were watching the film, there was an episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the character Will Smith. Shaft is like his idol, like it's always referenced many times how much he loves the movie Shaft, and there was an episode, I don't remember what the episode was, there was an episode where him and his girlfriend were about to go elope in Vegas. They were going to do a Shaft wedding, and but then eventually he decides not to go through with it, and then he tells the Isaac Hayes, that the Isaac Hayes impersonator was an impersonator of Isaac Hayes, saying, "Your impersonation of Isaac Hayes stinks." And the Isaac Hayes guy says, "I thought it was good because that was the real Isaac."
The real Isaac Hayes, yeah, that was funny.
That was.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, thinking that was an impersonator, but no, it was the real guy. Also, like I said, with his cheesy one-liners, he says, like, right on. In Sanford and Son, I always remember how, like, when Hoppy would always, like, always get the slang terms wrong, and Smitty would always correct him, like, see you later, cousin, brother.
Right.
That's what I kept thinking about, but I don't think they weren't spoofing that, though. The spoof was how Hoppy didn't get all the terms right.
Right.
Any other thoughts you have to say about Shaft, or?
No, even though it's an older movie, it still holds up. It's a really exciting, fun movie to watch.
Is.
So I would encourage
there is something very like interesting when you watch movies like this for the time, like Blaxploitation or other like exploitation films and stuff like that. It gives you a whole different perspective how things were changing in Hollywood and how like going from old Hollywood to the new wave of Hollywood was groundbreaking at that time too.
Right.
Yeah. And also the sense of like again neorealism of what New York was like in the 70s at that time.
Right.
Yeah. I guess that's about everything we can cover up with Shaft today. So
yeah.
See you next time. Say bye, Dad.
Bye bye.